What if I told you the way it has always been done is not the best way? Facing your fears will change your life. The passion behind this journey is merging two separate worlds into one with the goal of creating value and awareness for a better life.
I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode is brought to you by R&R Pipeline, an infrastructure company. Our purpose? Enhancing America's infrastructure with a safety-driven, integrity-led culture that provides an environment for team members to grow and thrive. Welcome to a very special, limited edition of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, today is an honor. It is a privilege to be here with today's guest, Susan Adkins. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a little while that I've been trying to get you on here. I have to tell you that, first of all, thank you for everything. You've been an absolute blessing to my life in every form and fashion, personally and professionally. You have inspired me in a way that I would have never imagined by just committing with one little thing that you wanted to accomplish, and you accomplished that feat pretty quick.
A lot of hard work, but...
So the show is all about how the iron built infrastructure for me personally and professionally. And I want to know how the iron has impacted you in the last few years. So let's talk about CrossFit Uprising, your commitment there, and what it's done for you.
Okay. Well, I guess with my story, I started at R&R Pipeline. It's been almost 3 years. And you're my boss. And Cody Tolman's my boss. And you started talking about CrossFit Uprising. They just opened up a new place. I started in February at R&R, and CrossFit opened up, I believe, in July. And you started talking about that to me and to other people at work, that it's a really good place and we should give it a try. And myself, I had noticed that I was going downhill physically. I just noticed at home things were getting harder to do, simple things that shouldn't be a problem, and they were. And I had been considering going to another gym, the north part of town, but I knew I wouldn't like driving. I just had never signed up for it. So you guys kept talking and talking and talking and talking. Finally, I decided, okay, I'm going to give it a try and see what happens. So my first day, probably the worst day ever I should have gone, was the day after a holiday, so it was really crowded. But that was very scary, very different from something I was used to. But once I made it through the door, I knew I wanted to commit to it for at least 6 months.
And fast forward 2 years.
Over 2 years now, yeah.
And what has it done for your life? I can see from just a visual, as far as not your physical, but your confidence, the way you carry yourself. There's like an aura about you now that's different from when you first started.
It's kind of hard to explain, but well, when I started out, I was pretty pathetic on what I could do when they tested me. One of the things, and I was really shocked, was trying to jump rope. I couldn't jump. In my mind, I could jump like a little girl, but I couldn't jump. So now I can jump rope, and it's fun. I like doing that.
And you just told me about your workout from last week, and I don't know what you end up getting on it, but you were doing burpees.
Yep. It was a workout of 300 burpees in 40 minutes. I had set a goal for 200. I did not make it. I got 179 burpees in 40 minutes.
Susan, I know that you didn't hit what you went there for. 2 years ago, though, to think that you would have done 179 burpees in your lifetime, let alone under 40 minutes. Think about the amount of gain that you have had in that 2 year time span.
So so I was disappointed at the end of the day, but then over the weekend when I was thinking about it, and a little sore everywhere, I realized, I did something. So it was okay.
That is an absolutely phenomenal feat. You didn't work out your entire life, is that correct? Up until
Off and on. I worked out a little bit with my husband.
Yeah.
At some point, worked out a little bit with my one son, but not very
not
long. This
not
is
with
the longest
intent. Yeah.
I've done it.
And
Yeah.
so you joined a CrossFit gym at 62, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And not really ever having a probably consistent long-term plan. And then you do CrossFit.
Yeah, if you look at me, you wouldn't think I would be going to CrossFit, I feel. But
Well, I mean,
There.
just the fact that you were willing to walk in that door day one. That one day, that decision to walk in that door changed your life forever, I would say. And now you can't imagine not walking through that door every day that you go.
no,
I don't think you understand how inspiring it is for someone like myself, because to me, I do what I do. It's part of my lifestyle, and it's easy for me now. It's simple. It's like a revolving door of what I do. It's just part of who I am. But to change and commit to something that late in life is so absolutely incredible. And I just have to say, for everyone at R&R Pipeline, Susan wasn't the only one that signed up. You might have been the last one actually out of the group that signed up, out of the 4 or 5 in total. But you're the only one that's still going consistently, and everyone else has nothing but excuses. So all you men out there, you know who you are. I'm calling you out right eye to eye, camera. Susan's the last man standing. She's going to kick all your butts and can. She'll probably kick my butt too. Susan, I can't even express it enough how inspiring it is for what you've done with that. And that's just, it's such a feat. Such a feat.
but I also want to point out the stuff I do at CrossFit, it's all scaled. So there's a whole range of people there. That
Susan,
are,
you're trying to be humble, and I'm going to just stop you. You are not going to be humble. I'm putting you up on a pedestal
well,
because it's amazing, and you cannot downplay it enough. It's not going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, Susan Adkins is an absolute stud, and she can try to be humble about it, but I'm not going to let her, because she will not brag on herself ever. But that's what I'm here for.
well, thank you.
So professionally, R&R Pipeline has not been the same since you walked through the door. One of our biggest areas of weakness became one of our biggest areas of strengths. And I correlate a lot of that credit going to you. You really created a foundation in our finance department that we didn't have. And you've mentored, you've guided, you've really been incredible for us. And for me, you've taught me patience. You've taught me to slow down maybe a little bit in my wild ways. And maybe not even with what you said directly, maybe indirectly. But I have to tell you, professionally as well, thank you very much, because it has been really, really rewarding for me to be able to have someone that I can go to, and someone that I trust has the answer, knows the answer, understands it, and has done this for a while. And you've been great internally for the culture of the finance department. So for that, I do greatly appreciate it, and thank you for that.
Well, thank you. But finance department, Taylor and Denise are great to work with and very helpful and just very knowledgeable and helped me out when I first started. And
It definitely is a team effort. And I would say they're both grateful that they have you to look up to. I know Taylor definitely is. And I think everyone's grateful to have you part of the team. I think you really galvanized us in a unforeseen way that we desperately needed. So I'll speak for myself, forever grateful for you, Susan Adkins. But you had quite a profound career path before this. You've had business ventures, you've had other areas where you were a controller at. Talk about your career path. Before R&R Pipeline, what would be the one thing that sticks out the most that you enjoy doing the most?
well, I have to say, I was a stay-at-home mom, so I enjoyed that the most. But then when the kids started going to school full-time, then I started back to work. It was interesting. I worked for a coal company in Coshocton, Ohio, and it was a private company that went through the process of going public. So that was a very interesting
I
time.
bet. Yeah, I bet that was, I can't even imagine.
That was something.
Yeah. Investor money and all the, I can't imagine the legal responsibility that was there, and the reporting that needed to be sent out, the timing of it. I mean, it had to be really
It was
in depth.
eye-opening. Yeah.
So 3 kids,
3 kids. I have 3
married
kids.
40 some years.
41 years, been married.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you got some grandkids?
I have 4 grandkids at the moment, with hopefully more to come.
Well, let's shout out the Atkins family while we got them on camera, because I'm sure they're going to be watching this and just be flabbergasted that mom is on camera sitting down on a podcast. So let's give them a little shout out.
Hi, Nolan. Hi, Hallie. Hi, Maddox. Hi, Paxton.
I love it. That's awesome.
They're great.
Well, they have someone to look up to that is definitely a role model, that definitely has probably shined some light in the last couple of years, especially on them to, take on that risk or overcome that fear.
Well, they were one of the reasons for me going, trying to improve. My oldest grandson, it was getting hard for me to pick him up to give him a hug. And now he asks for high hugs, so I have to pick him up and give him a hug.
I remember we were talking about that one day, and you were talking about being able to carry the sweeper up the stairs, and things in life that, like you mentioned earlier, that you thought, oh, I can do this or that, until you tried it, and then it was kind of like, oh, wait, I can't. And so many people, Susan, don't overcome that and don't face that adversity. They run from it, hide from it, and I don't know if you've ever heard the cow and the buffalo analogy, but the cow runs away from the storm, the buffalo runs toward it.
Oh.
And you ran right toward it and faced it. And it was probably seemingly impossible or so fearful at the beginning, but you take a step in the right direction and then you take another step. And it's not going and doing a burpee or 100 burpees in day one. It's just walking through the door. But you committed to it, and then the compound effect over 2 years has been huge. How many other areas of life has it changed for you outside of just the physical part?
I feel it's improved my mood, in that before it was kind of, you go to work, you go home, and not a whole lot of different moods. Going to CrossFit, I get a little anxious before I go, wondering what's going to happen, how I'm going to do it. Might be during the workout, I might be thinking, what have I done to myself? But then at the end, I'm always happy that I got it done.
So I did CrossFit probably 10 years ago. I don't know if I even told you this or not, but in Athens, Ohio, I did it when I was on the road all the time. I would go every morning, and I always felt better walking out than I did walking in.
Every time.
During, I always hated it. Most of the time, I just hated it.
Yeah.
But who I was walking out, it was always worth it. CrossFit, though, and like most things in life, it's all about your environment. And it's all about the people around you, because that culture can tear you down or it can lift you up very quickly, depending on the coach, the leader, and the group. Jason Tomlinson is amazing. And whenever first I met him, and within 6 months, we became like brothers. Like, we had long lost brothers, and I helped him along with Corey Gregory. We pushed him, which you met Corey a little bit ago.
Yeah.
We really challenged him to take the leap. And it got to the point where he didn't know for sure. He knew he wanted to, but he just was right on that edge of commitment to it. And it's like, Jason, this is your calling. And I remember one day he said, man, I don't know why you're doing this for me. Why are you doing this? I don't understand. And I just told him, like, Jason, we're not supposed to be here. And you got a bigger calling than what you're doing right now. And you're so good at this that you're being selfish by not doing it, because there's a lot of people that you're going to help impact. And CrossFit can be life-changing, and it can be detrimental depending on the coach, because it is a sport essentially. And I quit CrossFit because it wasn't designed for me, because of my ego probably at the time, and the coaching at the time was not what I needed. But Jason knows how to get everyone in that room on the same page, and doesn't matter where you're at in your fitness journey, he will make it work for you. That is a special coach and a special group of people. That culture is something that you can't replicate. That's what we have here. 4 a.m. every morning. There's no rhyme or reason. Every morning when I wake up, I don't want to, but it's not even a thought anymore. It's not a feeling that I have. It's a lifestyle now. And you probably are feeling that. If you haven't already, you understand what I mean, but you don't want to miss it because it's so foundational for you in everything that you do.
I have to admit, I couldn't do the 4 a.m., but the 5 o'clock one is good. 5 p.m. that is. Yeah,
for me, my life has never allowed me to have any peace from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. For the longest time, 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. There's going to be a distraction. I would wake up early. 5 o'clock I used to wake up, and then it was like, I got to be at the office at 5 o'clock. And when I was in management, I'd get in there at 5. So it was either wake up early in the morning or likely going to miss. I remember when my daughter was born, I was waking up at 2 a.m. to go to the gym. I would go to the old school gym. It was in Pataskala then. And I would train from like 3:15 to 4:30, shower, head to the office by 5, and then go about my way that day. But it's always worked for me, but it's what works for the person. So like, it's not, I never tell everyone like, you should do it my way. No, do it the way that you're going to do consistently. You found your way, and that's what's consistent for you. So that is absolutely the best way. Tell me about the nerves. Do you get nervous going in? Do you get nervous still?
Not as bad, but yes.
What do you tell yourself when you walk through the door? Do you just kind of wing it and go with it?
Just have to, yeah. It helps to talk to the other people in the class because you've got made new friends just from being there, and we can talk about our nerves ourselves before we get started. And yeah.
What is that culture environment like?
It's, to me, it's just very helpful, very friendly, very supportive. Like I said, I'm doing things a lot differently than most of them, but they never make me feel bad about doing, lighter weights or less reps or whatever. They're just always supportive.
Was there ever a day 2 years ago when you walked through that door that you would have dreamed you're doing what you are today?
No.
How exciting is that for you, not only now, but in the future too?
Oh, I think it's very exciting. Like for last year, I did the Murph and I did the Bruce. Well, the Murph, I had the worst score of anybody, the worst time of anybody, and the Bruce, I didn't get done in time, but I still did it. So that I did the year before. I kind of wanted to do it, but I was too scared to do it. But last year I did it.
I would say, Susan, that out of everyone that is the same age as you, you are a 0.01% of people that are doing what you're doing. So I'm not going to let you be humble. You can be humble, but I'm not going to let you, because you're comparing yourself to people probably half your age, have been in fitness a long time.
Yeah.
But if you looked at a similar playing field to your age demographic, I would venture to say that not 1%, but 0.01% of people are doing what you're doing. And for that, Susan Adkins, you are like a unicorn of special, because there are not very many people in the world that could even consider doing what you're doing.
So like with the Murph, when I finished that was a great feeling, even though I was physically tired. That was just very cool to me that I was able to finish it and got it done. And it was scaled and all that, but yeah.
Just stepping into that arena.
Yeah.
We just talked about the man in the arena. It's not the critic who counts,
Nope.
but the person in the arena. And you're in that arena every week. Not very many people can say that. So, and just being willing to face that fear in itself. And I always try to look at fear as a visual and try to paint a picture for what it feels like. And if you look at fear from a visual standpoint, it's standing on this platform, this edge, and you're looking out and you see nothing but water. And it's miles long. You just see this fear, miles long water, and it looks like it's 100 foot deep. And you realize that you got to take a step into it to find out how deep it really is to overcome the fear. The hardest part is the inaction. It's not taking that first step. The journey to 1,000 miles starts with that one first step. And when you take that first step, you realize, like you did when you walked in the door, it's not that deep. It's only a few inches deep. So it seems so glaringly big, but it's really not, because we create it to be bigger in our mind than what the reality is. And it becomes bigger because in reality, we can only see what we perceive. And until we step into it, we don't know. So it's 3 inches deep, and you might fall and get wet a little bit, but you're not going to drown. And then it's like that miles long becomes foot, it becomes feet. Yeah. And it's a lot closer and a lot smaller than what we perceive it to be when we just take a step forward. Mm-hmm. And
that first step is something.
It's the hardest, but I think the commitment to it. And it's not just, I'm going to commit to this thing. It's why am I going to commit to this thing? And for you, so you can play with your grandkids, so you can lift your grandkids up. You had a deeper why behind of it that was pushing you to know that this is the right choice. I need to do it. And although I'm uncomfortable, I would rather be uncomfortable facing this fear than not being able to do the things that I want to do with my family. So what's the impact had on your family life?
It's just fun when they get all the kids and grandkids together. I get to play with them and get on the floor, and got to remind my oldest son, Nolan, not to be jumping on me because I am grandma. So
a few years ago, what was it like in comparison?
It was hard to get up from the floor when you had the little kids and try to get up and pick them up at the same time. And so it's just much easier now, but they're getting bigger, and they're faster.
Yeah.
But
it's a good thing you're getting better at CrossFit and getting them burpees dialed in. So it's been about 3 years since you've came on board. Mm-hmm. What has the last 3 years been like for you from the time you started to now? We've had a lot of changes, ups and downs, roller coasters. It's been a pretty whirlwind of events that's happened. Mm-hmm. What's it been like for you in the seat that you're in?
I have to admit, when I first started, you had just started a new system, and you guys were learning that when I came.
Day one, your first day.
So that was really quite hard, that part. And the first year, I feel just getting more procedures done and the way we want to do things. Each year, that keeps improving, and we're getting better at it.
It's so hard to operate without having structure and solid, foundation of a system in place. And industries like ours are not known for process-driven structure. Corporate America has that in place. Big corporations normally do. Cody and I were determined enough to purchase the company because of just hard work and determination to get there. But we soon realized after purchasing the company that, there's a lot we don't know, and there's even more that we don't have. And so it was a very big transition from management to ownership. And 6 years almost later, it just now is starting to feel like we have a grip on everything that we need to. But the one thing that we knew for sure, we had to have great people around us, because we're not great. We're nothing more than navigators of a lot of chaos. And oftentimes, especially myself, creators of a lot of the chaos, even though the intent being good. But we knew that we had to have special people around us. And you have been absolutely top-notch special to the company, personally, professionally, everything. And we had to get them people around us, because we're not that damn smart, Susan, and we've done what we've had to do when we had to do it to get it done. But it doesn't mean that it's always the best way. And us now, where we're at today, compared to 3 years ago, we have a pretty solid team around us now.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot tell you how exciting it is for me to have that in place.
And I have to say, R&R is a great place to work. I mean, it's just, you care about the employees and it shows.
We really do. And you can say that, you can put it on a poster, you can talk about the team atmosphere. To me, saying that you care is one thing, but showing is a completely different meaning, because you got to have true trust to do that. I think showing that you care is giving someone the freedom and opportunity to take on something and fail at it and it be okay. To not micromanage somebody, and to give them that true ownership of whatever it is that they're doing. But it doesn't always work out the best. Some people take that and, ends up not working out for them, but they don't take it with the best of intentions and they abuse it. And then some people absolutely thrive in that environment. But at the end of the day, we just feel like it's the right thing to do. And we're not going to grow if people don't have the freedom to fail. Being able and willing to fail is one. Failure is nothing more than a showcase of true trying. I fail all the time. Susan, I suck at a lot of stuff. I don't know if you know that or not. I fail every single day at something. But my fail list is long because I'm willing to try. And I think the byproduct of commitment or not being as scared or willing to fail is growth. I think all of our adversity really creates the opportunity, and it creates us that thing to grow. Mm-hmm. I don't know too many people that have won all the time and then had a lot of learning lessons that prevailed them to the next spot. Mm-hmm. What's the biggest adversity that you've probably faced that you overcame and then it really just changed life for you?
I'm going to say my last job, it was very high pressure. I was doing a lot of items, working a lot of hours because we were short-staffed. It was very hard, but I learned a lot from it, and I was able to bring it to R&R.
A lot of times in life, it's what's caught, not taught. And a lot of times we often need to be reminded more than we need to be taught on certain things, where we've had learning lessons, we have experiences, and we just need to remember them, because if we forget something, we tend to repeat it. And I remember talking to you the first time, I was amazed at your capacity, because you're like, I just don't want to work 60 hours a week. And I was like, holy shit, Batman. Like 60 hours a week and all the different things, and I won't go into it, but it's like, well, that's incredible that you were doing the things that you were doing. But it's even more incredible that you took a leap of faith on two 33-year-old young men very early in entrepreneur journey. And you knew that we didn't know a whole lot, and you can say whatever you want about it. But the reality is that was not hard to figure out. And you took a leap of faith. And for that, I forever am grateful.
Well, in the same sense, when I came for the interview and saw two 30-year-old guys, it's like, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, there's no way they're going to hire this old lady. That was my thought, that I was too old.
No.
So thank you for looking past that and hiring me.
We needed someone that had the understanding and stability. Your age never was brought up. We looked at your capability and what skill set you brought that we needed it. And I think with the additions that we've recently made too, that's what has been so great for us. We need people that have more experience in business and just in life. Mm-hmm. Because me and Cody don't. We're still very young in the entrepreneurship side of things, but we needed that balance of mentorship and well-experienced people that we can lean on. Life experience in itself is something that I don't have a lot of. And especially if it comes to being sympathetic or having empathy for situations in life, I'm not very good at that, because I'm just kind of a no BS right to the point. But you have allowed, through like mentions of yours and thought processes of yours, it's grounded me a lot. So it's been very good for me. You've taught me a lot of things in ways that I've never probably even acknowledged. So you've had a huge impact on me.
Well, thank you. And I love hearing about your family and your girls. That makes my day when I hear their stories.
Yeah, we got the 3-year-old Tara's coming in and punching me in the mouth and throwing a fit when she doesn't get what she wants. So, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So if you think about slow is smooth, smooth is fast, do it right the first time, execute on what you're doing, keep your focus, and then move forward on the next task. You're someone that I know is very good at like single task, execute, get it done, move to the next. Where did you learn that from?
I think that's just my makeup, my personality. That's why I'm an accountant.
And that's one thing that for me, I have never been good at. I have an attention span of a 3-year-old. I have about 5 seconds and then I'm
That's why
distracted.
you're an entrepreneur in many different businesses. And
It's not always good though.
But
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Persistent patience. Persistent patience is my life motto. It used to just be persistent, but I've really started to understand the value in patience. And it's not patience like I'm not doing anything. It's that I'm not forcing anything in this one area, because if I do anything else, I'm going to make it actually worse.
Yeah.
Where there's a certain chain of events that has to occur for this thing to go through all the way. And so patience for me is hitting a capacity so high that I cannot go further on this one thing until other things align. So then I just shift focus on something else. And that's kind of like the revenue projection thing. I came to you because it was hard for me to do that, because it's a singular focus and it's very, very difficult for me to have any type of focus with that detail. But I knew it had to be accomplished in just the season that we were in. So I prioritized the first 2 to 3 hours every day on that, or whatever I needed to collect for that, and just had one track mind, and nothing else was going to distract me in that meantime. But it's very difficult for me to do.
yeah.
Being consistent like that, though, is so amazing. And for what you do professionally, it's got to be such a huge asset to you, not only for your production and efficiency, but to teach others around you that may not be that efficient. Like myself. Well, that's what I'm saying. You've helped me out a lot with that.
But I think that's just the way accountants like Taylor and myself, we have our system and we know how to, you got to follow your processes and where you're keeping the items and just keep following the same thing and improve it if need be.
And that's where I struggle with that. I'm huge on having the process, but I'm not good at actually developing anything. If you have not noticed, I am full of ideas and not full of any development or implementation.
I don't know about that part. You have a lot of ideas.
I have a lot of, I don't even talk about 90% of them, because I think people will probably understand how chaotic my brain actually is. But being able to do that and being able to, focus on one singular task is very impressive, because I know how difficult it is in an instant gratification society that we live in. Let's talk about personal development. Is there any book or anything that you've really enjoyed throughout last handful of years, or anything as a staple personal development you enjoy?
Well, there's one book and it's from AARP, but it's just Total Body Reset, I believe. Mm-hmm. And it's about what you should be eating. So it's about eating protein at certain times and fiber, to which when I was growing up, to me anyways, just always worried about the calories, how many calories you're getting a day. I didn't worry about protein and stuff. So until I read that book, I didn't realize that a whole person like me needs protein. So that really helped when I started eating better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not common knowledge by design, unfortunately. And that's kind of what the food pyramid taught us, was eat all your bread which is the complete opposite of what reality should be.
So no, I always thought protein and drinks, protein bars would be like someone like you that works out so much. And
Muscle
like
is the organ of longevity. It really is. And now the data is coming out to showcase that, but having a foundation of muscle carries you through so many, sicknesses and health setbacks. It really does help out a ton. How has CrossFit helped you with that? So now you're intentional about tearing down your muscle. Now you're intentional about fueling your muscle. What's that been like with the food and the CrossFit both combined?
CrossFit good, food's better when the weather's better. As these last couple months have been bad, but when I follow everything and try to drink water like you've taught me, you really do feel better.
Yeah, the hydration is huge. I always just think of like a piece of equipment that needs greased or like a squeaky wheel. That's how I feel when I'm dehydrated. Like my joints ache, bones ache, everything just kind of hurts. But when I'm hydrated, I feel like, I'm greased up. I'm kind of ready to go. The cognitive functions there, it really is, hydration really is so huge to everything that we do. Very impactful. It really is.
So I'm still working on that, but I try. It's
Need
like
to
I
get
said,
you
it's
a
easier.
jug.
I have a little one, not as big as yours. But
I'll have to get you. I'll get you hooked up. That way you can sit there and do curls in the office the whole time.
there we go.
Yeah. Susan, give me some advice. Give me some wisdom of yours. Some thoughts of yours that you might have. Anything you want. The floor is yours.
Biggest thing is just take time and enjoy your family. They grow up so quick.
Yeah. I am so fortunate to have been around a lot of people that tell me that and have for years. And work-life balance, that statement to me doesn't exist. I'm gonna throw one at you real quick. I think work-life balance for me is complete horseshit. But what I do believe in is time allocated and fully being intentional and present. There's going to be times and seasons where 70 hours a week, Monday through Friday, like August, September of last year, is my average. There's going to be times where maybe it's 20 hours a week that I have to execute at a high level. But whatever it is, I just want to be intentional about what I'm doing at time. So if I'm focused on the one thing and not trying to be present at home and still be on my phone doing email or, just being truly present, intentional. Gratitude is something that I've been so fortunate to understand and have a lot of the last couple of years. And one of the best things for me is being present and realizing that being present is a true gift. And I say it all the time, but I think that's why they call gifts presents, because the ability to be present truly is a gift. And for just figuring that out at a decently young age is something I'll be grateful for. I'm going to let you wrap up the end of this with final thoughts of yours. Final thoughts, final questions for me. Anything, everything, the floor is yours, Susan.
I guess I just would like to say that attitude's a big thing. Like, you can't compete with other people, at least for CrossFit when I go in. But I try to have a good attitude, a positive attitude, and try to do my best. Try to do my best on working at R&R, at CrossFit, just being at home. Just try your best on everything and try to have a good attitude and try to be happy.
Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Henry Ford said that. What you focus on expands. So if you're focused on the negative, it's going to become bigger. Same with the positive. And I will say, ladies and gentlemen, this lady right here, Susan Adkins, the legendary Susan Adkins, has a positive attitude at all times. I don't think I've ever seen you truly have a negative attitude.
I wouldn't say all times, but I try to. How's that?
What you have displayed in front of me has been positive at all times. Susan, you are an absolute legend to me. I hope you understand that. You have had such an impact on my life, personally and professionally. I've learned a lot from you. I have the utmost respect for everything that you've done, and the willingness to overcome that adversity and change your life. You probably don't see it now. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but you're doing something that you're not vocalizing a lot. But the action that you're taking and the person that you became because of that action is going to last generations of your family, and it's going to have a bigger impact on everyone that you work with daily than you'll probably ever know. I've seen it and who you've became and how you've evolved, and it doesn't go unnoticed. It might not get recognized enough. That's why I want to recognize it for you, but your humility is incredible, but I'm not here to be humble. I'm here to put you up on a pedestal because that's what you deserve. So up on the mountaintop, Susan Adkins, thank you for everything.
Well, thank you very much.
I know you're just going to be humble. You're not going to acknowledge it. You're just going to be all shy. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to be, because Susan's a badass. She's an absolute beast, and I just love her for it. She's awesome.
Well, I do want to thank Jake and Cody for suggesting, pushing me to CrossFit, and I want to thank CrossFit Uprising and Jason and Kim and Mariah and Josh for all their help, all the coaches that are just so kind and patient for me. So thank you.
Shout out Jason Tomlinson, my man. And I want to also shout out all the failures like Cody and Levi and everyone else on our pipeline that I'm just going to have to call you out right now. Susan's still standing. Like Elton John over here, I'm still standing. And they're not. There's no excuse, Susan.
Yep.
There's no excuse. So if you're still standing, they're not. That speaks to the badassness that Susan Adkins is. You like badassness. You like that, don't you? I'm not even going to edit that out. I'm just going to leave it in there just for you. Susan, I really appreciate you coming on here.
Well, thank you. This has been fun. I didn't think it would be, but
I tried to tell you. You should just listen to me once in a while. I told you you'd enjoy it.
I listened to you for CrossFit, and I listened to you for this. So.
See? Well, I mean, we're just going to have to do this again then. We'll get you back on one day. Maybe we'll do a WOD and then come in here and talk about it. How about that? Well, I think Jason's starting a podcast in there. So
yeah, he has. They've done one. Yep.
You're just got to be on that too. You took the first step. Now it's nothing, right?
Yep.
Just need some
Piece
reps.
cake.
I love it. Susan Adkins, ladies and gentlemen, the legendary Susan Adkins. Susan, thank you for your time today. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. This has been the Iron Infrastructure Podcast with legendary Susan Adkins, and we're out. This episode is brought to you by Max Effort Muscle. For all your supplement needs, go to maxeffortmuscle.com.